Hey everybody, I'm Henry Kaiser, and welcome to 5 Hats, where I bring you into my process developing a video game as a producer, designer, engineer, artist, and journalist. Now, Unreal Engine is a great game engine, known for its high-fidelity 3D graphics, but it can also provide top-tier rendering and logic systems to make next-gen stylized 2D. So let's put on the engineer's hat. And dive into how I'm standing up 2D characters in a 3D world. In the last episode, we created an animated 2D character sprite sheet using my pixelated paper character pipeline. Now, we need to turn that image file into a game somehow. But before we tackle animations, let's talk flatness. As our 2D characters run around in a 3D world, we don't want to lose sight of them because of a flat edge. We need the sprite to always face the screen. For players, the camera already follows them, and there is a setting for that. For AI characters, I wrote a quick look at script for the sprite to face the player's camera. With that script running, whenever they or the player are moving, the first problem with flatness is solved. Now, let's get into animations. Unreal offers a lot of thoroughly polished subsystems for managing complex 3D character animations. But it is a lot less equipped for managing 2D character animations. Enter PaperZD, a free plugin widely used by Unreal devs. It adds 2D animation subsystems that mirror Unreal's native 3D animation controllers. If you want to learn more about it, there are great courses on Udemy and YouTube. What I want to highlight is the engineering of a concept we introduced in the last video, directionality. We built my character to have 8 perspectives for each animation. How does that get coded into a unified experience? Now, let's open Unreal and do it. For a PaperZD character, we import the sprite sheet JSON we made in the last episode, and it automatically unpacks the image file into distinct flipbooks for each perspective. We then create a PaperZD animation source file that lists all the character's animations, and within an animation, like player walking, we then link each of the directions to a specific perspective flipbook. Now, we just need to give each character an instanced variable called directionality. So how do we set that directionality variable? For player characters, it's easy. Directionality is determined by the movement keys the player is pressing. I press a key to move right, the animation presents the walking perspective from the right. I press down, and it presents the walking perspective facing down towards the camera. Diagonally, away, so forth. However, AI characters are not pressing buttons. They move according to code in their behavior tree. So their directionality gets calculated. As things move, a function considers the direction they are facing relative to if they were facing the player's camera. It's a bit of math, but that's it. The directionality variables are set, and the animation brings the characters to life. Are we done? Well, if this was a side scroller, maybe, but in video 2, we said we want to have a distinct standout feature by using a free rotating camera. Now, a free rotating camera is laughably common in 3D games, but not with paper characters. That style has only shipped a couple times since 2000. Paper character games are almost always played from a single lock perspective or snapping incremental perspectives. I didn't even clock at first how rare it was, but so many early playtesters pointed it out and loved it. Combining 2D characters and a flat camera means we need to recalculate relative directionality and facing sprites more often, but it also means we need to do more to maintain a sense of depth with our flat characters. Users want to be able to move right up next to another character. With side scrollers and box colliders, this is no issue, but in 3D, it can get hinky. You won't notice anything weird if the characters are the player size or smaller, but with larger creatures, like say, deadly monsters you're dodging as a fantasy photojournalist, Unreal's default sprites break the sense of depth by adding a visual gap of dead space because the flat image is in the center of a round collider. Unfixed, players will sense a barrier is keeping characters apart or that they're a safe distance from someone that's attacking them, even though the code says you're side by side. My solution to fix this sense of depth problem was to shift from the default sprite at the middle of the actor to a sprite that orbits along the edge of the actor's collider. This ensures players can get up close visually from the front or side, but will remain the correct perspective distance behind large creatures from the rear. Now, it's not the sprite that faces the camera, but actually the radial center that the sprite orbits. Once this was implemented, players mentioning problems with the flatness or character gaps completely dissipated. Now, they just ran from subject to subject, completing their interviews, dodging attacks, and taking photos of the action, giving feedback on the meaty stuff, gameplay. Now, if you have questions about this setup that you'd like me to go deeper into, or if you have thoughts or solutions to share, get in the comments. That's all for this episode. In the next one, we'll be putting on the journalist's hat to explore ethically balancing what professional journalists do versus fantasy action gameplay. See you then for more 5 Hats. Take care.